Welcome to your favorite podcast that talks about your favorite game on Smite. I need a drink. Howdy, folks. It's on Smite Podcast, where we talk about your favorite game, which is, of course, Smite. And tonight I'm here joined with my fellow co-host. I'm Brent Copeland.
I am Ryan Karin.
And I'm Bitburner.
And tonight we got a lot of stuff to cover. The SWC, as well as all the new changes, new Pantheons. A whole new Pantheon! Holy crap!
Yeah, and Pantheon skins, which is something kind of new, too.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I should say konnichiwa! All right, I don't know any Japanese, so...
Yeah, let's not do that, no.
So we're going to get to that, but first, let's see something called...
Hey guys, what's
Kraken? And this is where we talk about what's been going on, and we took a big hiatus for the holidays, or should I say, konnichiwa? Is that what
No, you should not.
No.
No.
Okay. Anyway,
No, you should not.
I'll go ahead and start. I've been, SWC.
SWC!
Thanks to my good friend Rage, and got me a ticket. Thank you again. So that was awesome getting to see everybody. And then, some Smite. Easy enough week. How about you, Ragin?
Well, that was my week, too. I mean, it was all about the SWC for me. That was quite the experience. It was absolutely awesome. Glad I went, even though it was quite the travel for me. Aside from that, I don't know. I mean, do we want to talk about our regular weeks, or do we want to get into Smite Worlds?
Yeah, I mean, I figure we'll get into Worlds, so I figure we just kind of
get
through
this. So I guess what's cracking with me, I've played one match with Amaterasu, who we'll talk about a little bit more. She's not really my style. I was really hopeful for her, seeing that she had the old Guan Yu ultimate, but she's too much like Nemesis. She's too much get in there with basic attacks and kill people, and that's not my thing. I've had some really crazy matches. Had a really, really good Ares assault beatdown. One of those ones that makes me have faith in playing Ares again. Went 10-4 and 23. Top kills, top kill participation, top player damage, top damage mitigated, and top damage taken, and still died less than everyone on the other team. So it was one of those ones where it's just, you go in and you feel like you're just owning the place, and that was really good.
At the end, did you go and scream because you're so excited? And you go, konnichiwa!
No, I did not, but I will make this comment. I will apologize on the chance that she hears this. I will apologize once more to the poor young lady who was sitting beside me when Ares got drafted for his one match in the Smite World Championship, because I screamed so loud it scared the living daylights out of her. So imagine that big Sasquatch looking dude sitting beside you all quiet like, and all of a sudden lets out the inner raging. Yeah.
But
yeah, so that was pretty much it. I guess the only other big news is I am 4 worshipers away from Diamond Guan Yu.
Nice.
I made the mistake the last match I played him. It was 7, and I said, okay, if we win this, I get Diamond Guan Yu. So, of course, we didn't win. So, 4 more worshipers to go.
Wah, wah, wah. How about you, Biddy?
I've been playing the new god. I haven't played her in a real match yet. Just been practicing builds and stuff in arena practice, just trying to get, find out what she's all about. I don't know how much I'll like. It's kind of like a Nemesis kind of thing where, you have to be up in everybody's face, and that's never works well for me. But that's why I was trying to play it a lot in practice in case, it comes up. I'm not just totally, lost with the new god.
She really strikes me as Nemesis 2.0.
Yeah,
she's what they wanted Nemesis to be, but then Nemesis turned out to be an assassin, so they just said, okay, screw it, we're going to make her an assassin. So I feel like this is take 2 to get that frontline, raid up, slash people to death with attack speed warrior.
Right.
Well, and I've only played against her a couple times, and it's just like she just kind of floats across, and I'm like, why isn't she dead yet? Like she's just floating there across the front line, and everybody's like just running by her doing other stuff. I'm like, should she be dead? Like, what's going on? I don't know. So I haven't even looked at powers or anything yet. So I'm gonna learn a lot this podcast.
Yeah, I found that a little key with her is the frostbite hammer and a hasten fatalis. Those two together. So you're because everything is based on how quickly you can get 3 hits or more on them, and that puts like a whirlwind on them or something. And then so the faster you can do that, and then if you can slow them while they're doing it, and then just spin around them while you're hitting them. That's what I figured out with her. But playing in a real game is going to be a whole different ball game. But I've been playing Clash a little bit when I'm not playing Assault or Arena. I kind of like that game mode a little bit, so I've been trying to get into it a little bit, and pretty much every time been winning. So that's kind of cool. Been getting good teams where we just roll the other team. So. And they're quick games, so I like that too. Why sometimes I like Arena sometimes because they can be relatively quick for the most part if you get some good teams.
Yeah, I mean, even a long Arena match is 25 minutes. Like that's the longest I've ever had, except for that one horrible one where Brent turned off the minions. But we won't talk about that.
Like a 4-hour match. And I watched Worlds. I watched Worlds from home, and I got made fun of by my wife because it was like I was some sort of sports fanatic, that watches football on the weekends or whatever. Because, the announcers going and everything. So she's kind of making fun of me because we are totally not into that kind of thing. Most of my family isn't. Maybe my brother-in-law, and that's it. So it's kind of strange to hear announcers doing something and me be fixated on that. So
yeah, I watched from home last year too, and I remember my girlfriend was really impressed by that. Actually, like she made fun of it too, of course, but just she was not expecting that. She was not expecting a 4-person analyst desk and a 3-person commentator call during the events. I mean, they really do a good job of producing it to be an event.
Yeah.
Yeah. She basically said, "Oh, they take it seriously." I'm like, "Well, yeah, there's a lot of money at stake, and it's this is a world competition. It's people from all over the world." And I think at the time I was trying to explain to her why China was losing so bad. So.
Yeah.
They don't get all the gods all the time.
Yeah, they're kind of late to the game and all that. Yeah. So.
Yeah, they're always like a god behind. They were saying that they had Chiron for maybe 2 weeks or something. It sounded like in preparation for this. So they tended to just ban him instead of try and play him.
So and I just gotta wonder how that all goes down in China. I mean, there's non-pro teams here. There's amateur teams that just kind of play together and do really well and kind of get in. But there's actually some pro teams that are funded by a person or a company and may even and pay them. I wonder if the Chinese teams are they pro teams over there funded by the government, or are they funded by private individuals, or is it just people who love playing Smite and just are the best in China in that?
Well, they must have organizations, because I mean the team names are organization names. Like, I mean, the one team, the top ranked team out of China was that OMGB. They were called OMGB because there's also an OMGA and an OMGC. So, and they're just the best of the three apparently. So, they probably do, but yeah, it's probably just a private venture at this point, I would think. Yeah. I don't think the government there is quite picked up on esports as something that they want to be the best in the world at.
Right. Even though one of their when they asked him to say something in the beginning, I think one of them was like, win for China. So
yeah. Well,
there's a lot of talk before matches. What did you think about that, Raisin?
Oh, that was it. Okay, the first thing I'm going to say is everything I'm about to say for the next minute or so is excluding Enemy and excluding Pain to Beyond. It all seemed really forced. Like, it seemed like they had been told beforehand to make sure to do a little trash talk and get some drama going when you're up there. It didn't seem really all that genuine. These guys almost seemed embarrassed to be saying some of the cheesy things they were saying to each other as lame trash talk.
Easy game, easy life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that something going around? Is that a meme right now?
I don't know if that's a meme, but I'd never seen it before. And now I've played 7 matches since I came back from there, and I've already seen it used as a post-game lobby taunt once.
Well, that's all we need, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of my opinion on that. Now, on the flip side, there was good old Pain to Beyond, which, for people who don't know, that's not some badass Pain-related name. The guy speaks French. It's French for meatloaf. So his name is Meatloaf. Anyways, his stuff, like, he was very much playing the heel. Like, this was pro wrestling, and he was going to be the bad guy, and he did it very well. Again, I don't know how sincere it was, but he did it very well. I don't think Smite needs it, though, is the thing that irritates me.
Right.
When we've already got an issue with toxic community and cocky bastards mouthing off, we don't really need the pros advocating that, I don't think. Whether or not that was endorsed or requested by Hi-Rez, I don't know, but it certainly seems a little odd. It's a great way for him to build his brand.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping now, especially being that, everyone discounted them, nobody thought they'd do anything, and the fact that they legitimately beat Fnatic, like Fnatic was playing comp, and Enemy legitimately beat them. They beat Paradigm as well. That one's a little more questionable because Paradigm didn't really seem to be taking it seriously. They were doing some really weird drafts. And then, yeah, they went 3-0 against Epsilon, but A, it was Epsilon, and B, the matches weren't complete blowouts. They had leads for good portions of each match. Hopefully, now that people have to take them seriously, I'm hoping that they will lay off on that heel approach and not try and be the badasses of Smite anymore, because they're going to get respect and viewers and people buying their merch just because of their skills at this point. They don't necessarily need to be this loud, brash, abrasive team.
Yeah, I really liked. I miss Lass's attitude. To be honest, he to me, he was kind of a star esports person, right? Somebody to look up to. He's healthy. He exercises. He has
You're
positive
talking
attitude.
new Lasses.
Yes. Yes.
Old Lasses was bad, but yeah,
right. I understand, but he's come a long way, and I thought that putting that person up on a pedestal was a way better than putting some of these punks up there. And I just looked it up. That is a meme from League of Legends, which there you go.
Tells you something right there, right?
Right.
So, and a lot of this could be branding of the teams. Like you said, I think some of these teams, like they've got to kind of find a way to generate something past these matches and the money that's made out of these matches. I mean, that's kind of one of the reasons why Smite toned down how much they were paying out the overall for Worlds, so they could divvy it up throughout the year and try to make it where, like, okay, if we actually are decent, we could make a living being a pro esports team. But I think part of that is you need to sell some merch too as a team. But I wouldn't mind, I like the Enemy logo. Like, I wouldn't mind getting a shirt like that or something like that. So I think maybe some of these teams are trying to figure out ways to, like you said, push their branding, and find a way to get people to want to buy some of their stuff. Randy Macho Man, whatever his name was, he made some money, right? So they just got to find the right cheese to cheese on, and then cheese away. But yeah, it was so much fun watching the game. I actually watched a few games from probably more than I should have from the hotel because I was actually working too. So I had to work in the mornings, and then then and I'd watch a few games before I actually went to Smite, and it was they really do a good production job. So that was a good thing. I'm trying to think of other things that happened during the tournament that were interesting to discuss.
I guess one thing that I really took away from it that I was really impressed by was, for the most part, there wasn't a whole lot of region loyalty. It was everyone was there to see some Smite.
Right.
I distinctly remember the first day when every team at the event played except Paradigm and Cloud9 because they didn't have to because they were the top seeds. The number one player announcement that got the whole audience screaming was when they were announcing the Quagao Reapers and they said Knight's name. Because people remembered him from last year. He was the crazy-ass guy who played that mid Anubis that was just wrecking people, and no one had ever seen an Anubis at that level before. Unfortunately, he only played Anubis once. Probably smart, to be honest. But it was nice to see that, though. It's like, people were excited for these teams.
Yeah.
It didn't matter if you'd never heard of Avant-Garde out of Australia or Pain Gaming out of Brazil. When they came out and they pulled off their plays, that got a lot of attention and a lot of cheering. And when people broke the meta as well, whenever a new god was drafted for the first time in the tournament, everyone went nuts, which maybe is a sad testament to the other side of this, which is how overused about 7 of the gods were that appeared in 80 to 95% of the matches were the same 7 bloody gods.
Yeah,
that's a side issue.
And the same thing, talking about role models and stuff, I thought Jeff Hindla, he got a lot of publicity, I think. People loved hearing his name. And if you watched him when he was out actually talking and chatting with people, he was so nice and gracious and talked to everybody. I think he hugged you.
Yeah, which weirded me the hell out because
you wouldn't even let me hug you.
I'm kind of a Sheldon Cooper in a lot of ways. If you watch Big Bang Theory, I have space and touch issues. So yeah, all I did was say hi, good luck in the tournament, and he just went for it and hugged me. I'm like, okay, This is kind of weird. Maybe it was just beard magnetism. I don't know. But,
yeah, and like you were saying there, I wish they would drop the sex part. It's fine. Have it there. I don't know if it's a nickname or where it came from, but they really just pushed it over and over and over again. He's a great guy, but I didn't really get it. But that's probably just me not knowing where that comes from.
But yeah, I definitely thought, from everything that I saw, that the Cloud9 guys were basically the opposite of the enemy persona, and exactly what Bit was saying about Lassus. They were the guys who were. All the teams were out and being friendly, but they were the ones that really seemed, especially Jeff Hindla and Barracuda, really went out and were really good with the people. There's a picture floating around of there was a Make-A-Wish kid that was getting backstage access to the tournament, and there's a picture of Barracuda giving this little kid a hug, and this kid's just glowing because of it. So that was the image that Cloud9 gave off, as opposed to cool. Yeah. And some of them are a little more low key. I never really heard or saw a whole lot from Andenstur or those guys, but certainly Hindla for sure. They obviously don't take themselves too seriously, and they're just out there and they recognize they're players, we're players. Let's all just be players together.
Yeah.
They'll just be richer players.
Yeah. I wish I had interviewed some of them. I don't know why I bought a recorder just for that occasion, but for some reason, just never really felt like it was a good time.
Well, the way that they rushed the tournament really made it hard. Would have been difficult to do that. The only place we would have snagged people is if we got taken it to the after parties and stuff.
Yeah.
And that was one thing that bothered me this year. And it seemed like last year, watching it from home, they stuck to the schedule. They scheduled blocks for the matches for if they went the full 3 or the full 5 game set. And if they went shorter than that, then they had filler. They had random teams plucked together. They had media people who'd never played the game before playing. They had a band up playing some Mumford and Son songs at one point, I remember. But they did filler, and people could go out and get some fresh air, go down to the expo, look at the merch. This year, it was just as soon as one set was done, as quickly as they could set up the teams for the next one, they went. And so there was no filler time, there was no break time, and as a result, yeah, we anytime I saw people, there were some people I wanted even just to say hello to, like not even do an interview, but like hello and thanks for being on the show. Lydia was the big one for that. Every time I saw Lydia, she was busy, so I wasn't going to bother her. And yeah, we just didn't have time. These people were out mingling, but you would have actually been bothering them most of the time to try and interact with them.
Yeah, and I wonder if they got feedback maybe from last year that said, hey, don't do that stuff in between. We just want to see matches, and so maybe they felt like that was it. But like my only issue with the whole thing is kind of a timing thing. Like someone coming in and getting there at 5, and matches are over when they thought they were going to go for 3 more hours or something. That might have been,
Well, yeah, I mean, I kind of got that feeling when just tuning in. I was like, whoa, it's over today already?
Mm-hmm.
And so that was kind of, I was noticing that. And so that now that you say something.
Yeah. And I don't know if there's really a good answer to it. Like you said, it was kind of good having that stuff in between. Maybe it's finding the right stuff to have in between, something that still kind of matters to people.
Like cosplay?
Yeah.
Like a cosplay thing?
Have another tournament going on at the same time, like a 3v3 or single joust, even arena, whatever. Have these side matches that are going on in a different room that they just switch to, that you could go to.
Yeah, they could be just like the casters and things playing, or people from within the community.
Yeah.
Just as
pull random
stuff.
people from the audience for assault matches.
Yeah,
something. But
yeah, and it is what it is. It was still a lot of fun.
Yes.
Like I definitely don't want to like that was, if there were any issues, that was it, and that's not a huge issue. So
the stage looked great.
It looked incredible.
Oh yeah, it was great. And the one thing that you guys couldn't see, I mean, for the most part, all the production that we saw, you guys saw at home. But the one thing that was great was they also had, beside the main screen, they had these 2 long vertical screens that had all the players' faces. So you could see them as they were playing. There was also, up on the ceiling, there was another big board that constantly showed stats. And then whenever certain things happened, like a Gold Fury went down, a First Blood, all of those screens would, all the lighting in the place would change, and all those screens would display what just happened. Towers went down, whatever. And that was actually important, because sometimes a tower would go down off camera and you wouldn't even realize it, except then they played that graphic. So there is a little bit extra that you get to see from being in that room with that setup.
Now I have just a little criticism. And I think this has come up before with the tournaments and stuff. Is that some of these tournaments, because there's so many viewers and things on Twitch, this is people's first experience with Smite. And a lot of these people maybe are Dota or League of Legends players. So when they come over to view the tournament, it kind of looks like League of Legends. You don't know, by looking at the tournament, you do not know that it has a third-person action shooter in a way, right? Or a skill shot based game. They very rarely go down into the player's view to give you what the actual player is seeing. And I love when they do that, because then you really see how difficult it is to see behind over these walls, see the other guy. And I think that they should switch into that view more. One, just because that's how the game really is played. But I think it looks cooler sometimes. I mean, I like to see the overall field, but I mean, it's like having a helmet cam on a football player. You feel like you're in there. You feel like you're in the game. And I think they should do a little bit more balance of that. And I kept seeing people in the chat going, "Oh, is this a 3D League of Legends and stuff?" You know, people were asking about the game and they couldn't get the concept because it still looked isometric, right? It still looks
it's way out there like that.
Yeah, when it's way zoomed out, and so they think that that's actually how you're playing is way out isometric like that, and they're like, this is just like League of Legends. There's no difference so much for them.
And wow, it would suck to be on Chaos side.
So I mean, it's a small thing for me. I just think that I would always see that in the chat, and I thought, wow, why don't they go down and show that more? There was actually one shot. It was the new god. He was leading somebody in the middle lane, and it was like on the third hit. He sniped him. He was following through the wall, right? But you could not tell how difficult really that shot was until they went down into his view and showed that he's actually timing it, shooting through the wall. And as soon as he comes visible through the wall, he had already lined up because he's guessing, and he was just happened to be right. And it was like the greatest shot, right? But you couldn't really appreciate that unless you were going and being as the player, because the player was blind. We don't know that because we're up above isometric view. We have no idea. We think that the players can see everything, you know, around there. That's my feelings on it. But
yeah. No, I agree. Every time they went down into the 3D view or the behind the whatever we call it,
like first person, like
like I love that view, and I don't know if it's just being a player or whatever, but it really just feels like so much more action than when you go out and, like you said, it feels like you're watching League of Legends. And I don't know if it's to try to get people to go, see, look, it's just like the League of Legends is playing. Come on over and come play this, except for bam, now look at what you get.
Right. Now check this out. We're down inside there, and that. And literally, you could see the response to that in chat when they do that. You can actually see the people go, "Oh my God, this is 3D. This is like you're actually down in on the field."
Yeah,
right. This is a new concept to League of Legends or Dota players because they're stuck in an isometric view where they can totally see their surroundings at all times.
Yeah, and it almost seems like if you when you're calling a lane, going to a lane that follows some people over there, like you said, in the first person, and then when you're doing the playback, pull out, and then you can see what happened, like the full play, right? That's why you're giving the play, so you can see everything that happened at once. But I don't know. It's like it's like football. They could put helmet cams on people, but I don't know if I'd like watching a football game from that view the whole time.
Not the whole time, right? But when on a key play or something to drive home how difficult that was. Right. And that's how the actual game is played. Especially with football is not a fair representation because we all know, right? But a video game's different because it forces us into those views.
Yeah.
The pacing of the game, works really well for it too, and they should have played into it more. In that, you get these huge team fights break out, and then whatever happens, there's usually like a minute lull where everybody just goes back and goes back to base and buys and farms and gets ready for the next team fight. So yeah, they've got a minute of not the most exciting Smite action that they could very easily, pick one god that was in that and flip over to them and quickly, watch that team fight from being in that team fight. They definitely needed to do that more.
Well, and I know this year they really did do a lot more replays, like you said. Like people were going back.
I was noticing that. And they have kind of addressed this in the past when the community brought it up that the skins shouldn't be used in tournaments because it's confusing to new players because this is a game about gods and they're wondering why a weird skin that has nothing to do with that god is how that's associated with the game. And so if you notice
jumping on an alien,
right? Exactly. So if you notice, they no longer use skins in the tournaments. This was
they never have.
No, they used to. Yeah, they used.
No, they wouldn't.
I don't think so. I don't think I've ever seen at least.
I remember it. I remember it being an issue, and Reddit posts about them using skins in tournaments.
Well, I think it was probably They should use them because what they've done is they actually made a new rule this year. Is they'll allow them to use team-based skins.
Yeah, the team jersey ones they were able to use.
Now, but this is This is more than 2 years ago.
Okay, so
Well, that would be
before it
before
really was
they
a
did.
real
This is
tournament in a sense.
Right.
Yeah. So this,
These are the small tournaments that
Yeah, okay.
weren't the big money games, right? But
Yeah.
they were still being broadcast to Twitch to new players, and the community brought this up, and they changed the rules.
well, I think the community's stupid. I think they should use all the crazy skins they want. I think it would just add one more element, and they show it to their. I mean, this isn't. I mean, it's okay. It's about gods or whatever, but like, who wants to use their base skin ever anymore in any game? And that's what you're selling. That,
Right.
In the end, that's what you're selling to people is the skins. Show them like, and all the games are like this. Dota's like it. Even Heroes, all of them are selling skins. So show the badass, awesome, crazy skins, and you know what gods are going to get picked for the tournament. So you better come up with some crazy ass skins for those gods before it is, and show them off, or at least do something to show them off.
Yeah, I mean, in any other game that would work, I think. But Smite's gimmick is that they are gods, the mythological gods from history, and so
Yeah, but that doesn't sell crap.
that's what got
mean,
what got me. That's what attracted me to the game. To be honest, I'm like, this is about. Oh wow, this is about like real gods, mythos, and stuff. That's cool.
Right.
The skins are just a bonus to that for me. But really,
you play tribes, so that tells a lot about you already. Just in case Todd listens to the show, he'll never talk to me again. I'm just kidding with you. When are we going to make my MMO? No, but yeah, no. We talked with Todd and Gabe and all of them. They were all out, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, the company's really good for that. All the company people were out walking the floor, meeting people, which impressed the hell out of me.
Oh, and Kelly has face knees. Do you know?
Is that your skin?
No, it could be. When you stand up like straight and lock your knees, and the skin on your kneecaps look like little doll faces. You never seen that?
Heard that. Now we're gonna be looking at people's knees. And
you're gonna do
creeping some bitches out.
And I'm like, oh, she totally has the doll kneecaps.
Wow.
You've never seen
Kelly's
this?
never going to talk to us. That's great.
Right.
Who else can we offend in this show? So
I
talked with Dry Bear.
Sorry, one other person. I do want to give a little shout out to Uncommon Denominator, who is a viewer that I actually met, a viewer of our podcast, who I met at Smite World. So Thanks for coming over and saying hi, and thanks for watching the show if you are watching this episode.
Very cool. Did not look for me, but that's okay.
That was when you were at the hotel.
Could have come look for me over there. I was just doing some work. So, but yeah, I talked with Dry Bear, and he asked us when we were going to start the Paladins podcast. So,
I see Octane Pro starting one up too.
To be honest, I haven't been playing Paladins. I just haven't had enough time, and I went.
I haven't either. Paladins
want to jump in again.
Paladins was fun to try, but if I'm in the mood for a competitive online head-to-head game, I'm going to play Smite.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, and that's a tough one because I love Smite. I like Paladins, but they're still in that phase of trying to figure out the game, like, straight from his mouth, So it's like, it's hard to enjoy a game when you don't know what's going to be the next day, kind of thing. Like, I think there's something there, and I think it could be great, but I'm just kind of waiting for that. I don't know. So I think maybe we could turn this show into almost a high-res specific. I mean, Biddy can talk about global agenda. No. Tribe.
Well, and
I'd probably play global agenda too if there's actually enough people playing.
I still play Paladins at least, a few times a week. Get my levels up and my chest saved up. See what happens.
I went in there the other day and I had like a grip of chests because they changed something and like all my points added up and now I got a bunch of chests. I don't know. So I was like, oh yeah, cash in, new cards, woo.
Yeah. And I did ask him, I said, so when people are on a point, the more people on the point make it go faster, but how many? And he said it's a max 3. So
3, yeah.
3 max. Is that anywhere in the game?
That is, I mean, if you look at the team structure of how the team skill sets are, that's exactly how many people should be on the point and how many people should be running around.
Right.
If you're making up your team correctly for, just like in Smite, hey, we need a physical and a magical, and then we need a support. We need to, you
Right.
need certain things. You can't just all be hunters, right? And
Unless
so
you'll play with us. That's how we roll.
or like nobody, yeah. They're like, nobody chooses a tank, and and it's obviously, you need a tank or a guardian is something. So people haven't got that aspect yet. And that was something that was frustrating me. There's so many new players, and I was kind of a little bit getting a little bit more skilled. And I found that I was frustrating because people weren't getting on the point. They didn't understand the concepts of the game yet. Right. They didn't understand the concepts of the team choices yet. And that was getting hard for me because I was just getting like,
And I think if they added some verbiage to let people know some of these things, like you said, it would make it so much easier, because that is my frustration with the game. Like, I like the game, but when you sit there and you're like, please get on the point. Please, someone.
I'm wasting my time.
Come to the point, and you're like typing it, because I should know the VGS for whatever it is. Get on the freaking point before I quit out of this. And that's why I usually quit. I'll play my 2 games and then be like, I can't take those people anymore.
Yeah, and that'll eventually go away. And I think it might be that they don't know right now, and it's in flux because it's in alpha, beta, whatever it's in. And that's fine. And eventually, I think that, maybe they'll do something where, if there's 2 ADC type characters already selected, they're, and they've got a bigger pool of selections, maybe that takes away the ADCs. Okay, you've it's like when you used to play some of the best Battlefield servers way back in the day, they would limit the number of snipers, right? Yeah. Because if you didn't, everybody would be a freaking sniper, and everybody's just sitting on any end of the map and just shooting each other, and that's no fun. Yeah. So it's something to balance that, to cause that balance would be nice. Once you've got your ADC chosen out of the pool, then or 2, at least let 2 have their 2. That closes the ADC pool, and now who didn't quit, whoever didn't pick fast enough, will be stuck with picking whatever's left, support. Those types of roles.
Yeah,
I don't know how well that would work, but for me, that's what's deficient right now.
But I do think that what you were talking about with the flux, though, is possibly partly why they don't write some of these things out in quote unquote in stone. They might change that rule about how many people on a point will count. Maybe they'll up it to 4, maybe they'll drop it to 2. And if they've put it in the game somewhere documented, then people are not, like, it's going to be harder for people to let that go, because they're going to have read that sometime. Right. And once you're playing the game, you don't go and read all the time, right? There's some people who religiously read patch notes, and fair enough, but the casual players aren't, and they're going to still remember that 6 months ago they read that 3 people is the most they can have on the point. Meanwhile, they've upped it to the whole team can be on the point, and then you'll get 5 points per second. And I think that's probably why they don't want to document a lot of this stuff, is because it is in extremely early beta, and they're changing things constantly.
Yeah, because I could see where they may say, well, instead of making it a max of 3, why don't we make it a max of 5, but give a bonus to the tanks? So it's
right incentives.
Like everybody can count, but it's really better if you just have the tanks on. Anyway, that's Paladins. This isn't yet a Paladins podcast.
Yeah,
but I do know from talking to the other guys, I don't think they're so much interested in doing Paladins at the moment. They're all too busy doing other crap. Jackasses. So what else at SWC? Anything? They had touch jetpack.
There was jetpack fighter demos. Yeah,
which you can get the skin for if you download it.
Is that their mobile game or something?
iOS only.
iOS only.
It's a swipe game. You move your little jetpack fighter by swiping your screen and you want the path to send them crashing through the enemy robots.
Yeah.
Oh,
I can see some other things
it's not really a thing, but
yeah, I got into the beta and I was playing the beta for a little bit, but I haven't played it since the release. So I did download it and I want to get my skin, play it some more. So we need someone who plays that every day so we can talk about that on the high res hygiene.
Well, I'm making Jen download it to her phone because I don't have an iPhone. I have an Android phone, and it's only for iOS. So she's gonna have to get it on her phone just so I can play it to earn the skin in Smite because I'm kind of anal about getting the skins in Smite.
Yeah. So SWC. Anything else to say about it before we move on?
The only other thing I would say is one last little disappointment about it, I guess I would say, is that the Xbox tournament really got second tier treatment. There
was an Xbox tournament.
There was there was 3 teams pre-qualified, and then they had a mini tournament behind the scenes at the event for the 4th slot, and so then it was basically 2 semifinals and a final. And the Xbox stuff was just as entertaining to watch. It was great because the gods that they picked were different. Because on Xbox, it's a lot harder to do the precise aiming. So big AOE's are a lot more desired. So we were seeing gods like Odin and Kukulkan appearing, which never get played on the PC. And I don't know, I thought it was great watching these Xbox things, but it really was just everything was second tier. Both from the production end of it, they were put in the crappy time slots, these matches, and they weren't really they had the amateur casters do the casting for them, and even the crowd, and I was disappointed by the crowd's reaction that they just up and left. PC's done for the day, we're gone, we don't want to watch this. Meanwhile, I mean, the team that won was PC Smite pros. They didn't get into the PC tournament, so they formed a team, went into the open bracket at the tournament, went through it undefeated, and just demolished. It was Allied, Cyclone Spin, Omega. Who were the other two?
So really,
that's just mean.
Really, we should have started an Xbox team, and we might have actually competed with the people who just picked up the game and are playing it on Xbox.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the control scheme supposedly is a little tricky to get used to, but I mean, the pros, they knew the meta. They knew the timing of things, and yeah, they did exceptionally well. But it was great to watch. So
that might be something they want to think about somehow integrating in between the PC matches. Like, I could see how it'd be hard timing. It'd be like, oh, we've got to cut this off to start the PC matches. Might piss some people off. But if you could somehow almost ensure that what you're showing is the last portion. I don't know.
Have 2 streams. Why not?
Yeah.
Or a separate tournament. And maybe they'll do that on the Xbox.
And broadcast. What they need to do is hook up with Microsoft and have their own tournament and actually broadcast it through Microsoft's through the Xbox, so you can tune in on the Xbox, because that's who it's going to matter to. Yeah. It doesn't matter to PC people. Don't care.
Well, and
to be honest, they don't care.
And that was their big sponsor this year was Xbox. Yep. So, and I'm pretty sure for that reason, right? Who do we want? How do we get people over to Xbox? Well, PC players, they need a console. Don't they? No.
Well, Windows 10. I think that they're one of the things they want to do is get PC players interested in the streaming feature of Xbox One to Windows 10. So, but yeah, the only thing it would be good for is exclusives, and Smite isn't an exclusive, so
yeah. Okay, so SWC, I guess that's a wrap on that. And
and if anyone cares, Epsilon won.
Oh, you just ruined it for people. You just spoiled it.
Oh yeah, I suppose, but I figure if they haven't watched it yet.
Is that the new?
What did you think of the team fights in the late matches though? Just the random crazy team fights that just kept happening all the time.
Especially that enemy Epsilon, where people were getting away with. They couldn't have had more than 10 hit points when they were getting out of those fights, and just
all over the place too.
Yeah, they
I
were very entertaining to watch. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little bit random. Like they had the fights were so random sometimes that they were just spread out all over the place, having these large team fights when there didn't need to be these large team fights. I don't know. I was just they were kept coming back into these team fights when it's obviously they were going to lose. Some of that I couldn't get.
Yeah, it did have a barroom brawl feel to it at some points.
That's kind of what it was. It wasn't more as precise, kind of planned out. Hey, we're gonna, it was like, oh crap, there's a fight. Everybody do their thing. It wasn't. This is a fight. We're ready for this fight. It was like
And we have no experience in doing that whatsoever. Us, no. Right. I mean, every team fight we ever get into is completely organized, pre-planned, and goes directly according to the meta.
Yeah. Well, and there was some stuff that I thought was interesting that I probably could have realized was happening, but like when they were going for like the harpy, it wasn't to actually go for the harpy. It was to bait the other team into a team fight. And so I thought that was so interesting when they started playing the comms from enemy, and you're hearing them talk about, no, bait him in, get him in here. And it wasn't like normally you're watching the match, you're thinking like, what are, they're going for the harpy, they're great, but they're prolonging it, trying to actually get vision so the other team can see they're doing it, and try to get them in there for an actual team fight and not the harpy itself.
Yeah, and most of the fights I'm talking about were taking place around the harpy.
So I'm wondering if it's things like that, right? To try to get it, because you get a team fight and you get so much more if you think you're going to come out ahead of that team fight, that not only do you get a couple kills, but you also get the harpy.
Yeah, after you were getting
players overcommitting on one side of the harpy, while other players on the other side of the harpy weren't committing, and there was some sort of communication breakdowns at some points. And that was I was kind of thrown back a little bit seeing that from a pro game. I expected to see a little bit more purposeful fights that I was seeing in the early games, but and maybe that's just because these teams are so good. There's just they're just going for it. I mean, there's a point sometimes when, we just got to play hard. The strategies aren't really, kicking in. It's going to play it as it happens. Right?
And I think there's also an element of, and this is where I don't know enough about the pro stuff, is late game versus early game teams. Like it could be more in fact, look, we need to get these fights early because we can take them early, but if we let them get to late game, we're screwed.
And but you saw that too. They were picking fights like within the first 2 minutes of the game, 3 minutes of the game. It was crazy.
Yeah, but yeah. Like, that was like, if you've got Thanatos, you need to do that. Yeah. I mean, because that's what Thanatos is. Thanatos is get ahead early and stay ahead, and if you don't, then you are food at the later levels. So yeah, that's absolutely what they were doing, and the other team, knowing that, is doing everything they can to not get in those fights.
Yeah, but also not give up objectives. So it's like this cat and mouse game. So it's really interesting. Pro play. That's why we watch it over just watching somebody stream, right?
Right. It was the Epsilon and the games were fun to watch. I wasn't necessarily rooting for them, but they were very, very skilled team, and I was like, dang, these guys are gonna roll. I thought that near the end that they might not do it.
Yeah,
and it was that close. I think what was it? There was a year or two ago. It was kind of a landslide, and so it wasn't as an exciting match. But this came down to where, I mean, it was this game or two more games, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it was.
Especially the Epsilon Cloud9 set, which to me was the final. That was the final.
Yeah,
the top two teams met in the
because Cloud9 was pushing and they were on a roll. I thought they weren't going to stop. I thought this is it. Cloud9's going to win it right here in this game. This is going to be the sign. And nope, Epsilon.
They just got stymied by a Fenrir. They didn't know how to deal with Fenrir.
Yeah, that's 100% it right there.
I don't think anyone would have predicted that. No one would have predicted that Fenrir would have been the deciding factor, and that Emir walls would be so dominant.
Those Emir walls! Oh my god, they were like pushing against it. Like, oh man, why won't this go away? I need to be on the other side.
And
Yeah,
now,
that was-
now I'm just worried every match I play with Amir, people are going to be like, why aren't you running up your wall first? Haven't you seen the...
Yeah.
Have you seen?
But did you hear the cheering when he chose?
Oh yeah,
was it- yeah, that was-
again, new god. Finally,
Right,
it's not
yay.
Bologna.
Right.
Yeah.
I like how they were trolling though, like Amuz and Cobb, and they were trolling by choosing other gods. Like they were gonna, this was like when they were against the China team and just rolling them, and they were, they were playing like they were gonna choose these other gods because they didn't care because they're rolling these people. But they didn't do that. It would have been actually considered kind of disrespectful.
Yeah.
Well,
what
but
if
you
they
never
made
see
a-
Barracuda's AMC.
What if they
That's
made
not a
rule,
bad pick for Barracuda.
What if
Right, but it wasn't appropriate for
Okay, fair
what
enough.
they were doing. What they were doing.
What if they made a rule where you couldn't pick the same god in a given set?
That
Oh,
would
like
be-
like through the
oh.
team.
Like no one. Like once a god's been picked,
The
it
next
can't be
fi-
picked
five
for the next
games or
five
whatever?
matches by either team.
Ooh, that
Well,
would
they have enough
get weird.
gods to do it.
I mean, and you would see all these different gods and these weird comps and like these.
And
crazy-
then the pros would actually have to know all the gods.
what? How about we run a tournament that way? It would be like we'll call
Yeah.
it like Iron Man or something like that. Smite Iron Man.
That would be insane.
Like elimination,
There-
character
well,
elimination.
Here's the issue I have. I'm surprised you're the one suggesting this, Brent, because in a lot of ways, it's that it would add that extra level of unnecessary complexity that you don't like in the whole pick and ban thing. Because
Well,
then it's
not
like,
the complexity.
do we kind of take this as our throwaway game and we'll just get the crappy gods out of the way now, and then we'll, because they're going to play their strong one, and then next match they'll probably play their weak comp, so then we'll bring in our strong comp. Like, I don't know. It would certainly make it more interesting for us watching who are tired of seeing Bologna and Xing Chan in the solo lane every goddamn match over and over and over again. But yeah.
No, and my problem isn't complexity. My problem is fairness. And I feel like when you're actually banning gods because you know that that's a player's best god, but it's part of the game and it's part of the rules. I'm not saying anybody's doing something wrong for doing it, but I'm saying that's why I don't like picks and bans, because to me it's like watching sports growing up. It's like if you were like, well, no, he's your best quarterback, so we're going to ban him this game, and you're going to have to use your second string quarterback this game. That doesn't make sense in my mind. I'm like, why don't we just have the best 5 characters they have and the best 5 characters they have? And I understand once you
It's a mini game inside of a game.
Yeah, and once you can't use the same gods on each team, that breaks that immediately. Because if 2 people have the same best gods, well, it's broken. Who gets screwed? So you got to come up with some way to deal with that, unless you're willing to let both teams have the same 5 gods on each team, and then you're going to run into the problem where you only have 5 gods you see through the whole tournament because they meta and micro pick the 5 best gods that are going to. But then other people would figure out another meta that beats that, right? And so then they would.
Fenrir.
Right. So I don't know why that. Anyway, that's the real reason. And yes. I think doing something where you then screwed them even further like that is would be more entertainment value on the other end. But I would like to see sometime though, just some tournament where they just said, yeah, both teams can be the same 5 gods. Let's see what happens.
20-on-20 arena, last man standing.
Well, but I still want the game, right? Right. I still want that's the game. I'm not asking to play rugby instead of football. Like, let's play football, but you pick your 5 best players.
Yeah, but I mean, this is what happens when you're basically copying a game type from another game.
Yeah.
And holding yourself up to that game as a constant standard of what you should do next instead of innovating.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like every time I bring it up, that's kind of the answer, right? And it's like I don't. To me, that's not the right answer. It's an answer, but you're all those other games are isometric. Why aren't you isometric then? Well,
Right.
because we're doing something different. Well, let's fucking do something different.
Right.
And it may not work. See that, and that's the thing. Maybe they tried it and it didn't work. That would be an answer I would accept. So, anyway, that's an old topic. Glad you brought it back. Because I will stand on that soapbox talking about that till the day someone gives me a good answer. Okay, so we got this.
Patch of the Pantheons.
Woohoo!
So, Amaterasu, is that close enough?
I think so. Amaterasu. It'd be something like that, yeah.
Is a new god in a new pantheon. This is the Japanese pantheon. I see here considered a mix between Nemesis and Guan Yu.
Well, that's my opinion. Is and I was talking about this before. She's very, very like Nemesis in that she picks a target, gets in on him, and just starts beating him to death with basic attacks.
It's target oriented. Yeah.
Yeah, she's very much pick a target and finish them off. Her passive is if you get 3 hits on someone on the same target, then they get big debuffs to their defenses. So once you get those 3 hits on someone, you're best to stick on that person and keep wailing on them until they're dead.
Yeah.
And you get items like you were saying, Frostbound Hammer and Haste and Fatalis, so they can't get away from you. And the old Guan Yu thing comes from, and this is what I love about her, is for anyone who's been playing the game for 2 years or more, you will remember the original incarnation of Guan Yu. Guan Yu was originally a guardian, so magic damage, and his 3 main abilities were basically the same. He had the heal, he had the dash, he had the Taolu assault. But his ultimate, instead of being cavalry charge, was this, and it looked great. And that's one thing that disappoints me, is that they did not make this look as nearly as good on Amaterasu as it did on Guan Yu. Like this crazy somersault leap, and it was a 3-stage, and you could aim like where you landed for each stage, and each of those hits would do damage and an effect. And if you hit someone with all 3, it was pretty much death, because it was silence, cripple, and stun, plus all the damage from the 3 hits. So they've toned that down a little bit with Amaterasu. It doesn't do all 3 of those status anymore, I don't think. But it's basically the same idea. So I was really happy to see this original ult, because Guan Yu was my original main back when I first started playing the game. And so it was nice. It was very nostalgic to use that ultimate again. And they've actually done a little bit more with it, in that it combos very well with her 2, because her 2 is a move that you charge it up for 5 seconds as you do, and as you do damage, it gets more powerful for this 2. So what you do is you activate it so it starts charging, then you use your ult, because the ult takes 3 or 4 seconds to actually do all 3 leaps, and then when you're done, they're sitting there with all those status effects, and then your 2 goes off and it just wails on them. So little self plug, I've actually got a great video of myself doing exactly that on my YouTube channel right now. I just put it up last night, and it's basically I do a tower dive and get a double kill by doing that, charging the 2, ulting, hitting them, and then finishing them off when the 2 goes off. So
I wasn't too thrilled about the 2 in the charge up and it going off by itself. I would have rather had it charge up and then let me fire it when I'm ready. So I'm really having a hard time. That's why I'm still in practice doing that, is working on the timings of that, because it's not easy. I'm really having to work at finding what's gonna, like, and now that you say that, that's perfect. That I'm gonna try that right there.
Yeah,
and that might
they
be
even
the
say
thing
it right
that,
in the video.
yeah.
Like and
that might be the thing that pushes the character over for me, so I can, so you can go and clean up, be an assassin.
It'll be another one that I won't play forever, because I'm not a big assassin player.
Right.
I mean, we all like what we like.
Yeah.
So I still need to play Soul, and
You haven't played Soul?
haven't played her once yet.
Oh man.
Still,
What was the other new one?
Chiron.
Chiron? No, there's someone else besides Chiron. No, I guess it's Chiron. I've played some Chiron.
Okay, and then before that, it was Xing Chan was before Saul, I think. So
yeah, I've maxed him. Well, not maxed, but
So
got
I mean, we're
one.
seeing Soul and Chiron in tournaments. So
Yeah.
man, that
It's
tells
because
you.
they can do everything.
Mm.
They have every single thing that's in the damn game. They've got in their kit, which is why they're getting used so much.
Jerks. No, okay. So we also got some new skins. I guess back up and list it somewhere else in here. As part of the new Pantheon, we have a new event.
Oh yes,
which is more skins to sell you and more ways to get the emotes used, I guess.
and another exclusive skin that you only get if you buy everything in the kit, which
now it's
has
4
at
things
least
you
one
gotta
person
buy,
I know
right?
very pissed off.
But it's 4 things you got to buy.
I think
all.
it's only 4 this time, which is low for these sorts of things. But yeah.
Yeah. Now, what do y'all think about this? Now, and this is where I have a hard time because I love High Res and I love Smite, and I don't want to say bad things about them, but like I like the tourney one. I like the original tourney one where it was like you're giving almost to the tournament too. But I don't know. Some of them, like you said, to get that one skin. Do you feel like you're getting enough of a skin from those skins? You know what I mean? Like sometimes I feel like they put out skins, and this is just a pure preference thing. So there's probably no way they can do it like right. But it seems like to get that last one, that it should be super duper cool.
Well, and I mean, I guess that's what they tried to do with the tournament skins, like with the transforming Thor and the evolving Thanatos.
Yeah.
The way I was looking at it, though, was it's kind of a double-edged sword for high res because it gets the money, but the problem they're running into now is, like, I look every god, I have at least 2 really nice skins for. And I'm a little bit skewed on that because, as you may guess, that I can afford to fly to halfway across the continent to go to a video game tournament. I can afford to buy gems, and so I probably have put way too much money into this game.
And to be fair, they've given us,
yeah, absolutely. But I've also
I've
bought
sunk
a
a
lot
couple
of
$100
gems.
into this game. Yeah,
Yeah.
free game.
But it's at the point now where it's like, some of these skins come out and the exclusives, and I kind of want them just because I'm collecting them and I'm a little anal about that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, okay, I didn't get the ones related to the Xbox release. There was an Emir skin and a Zeus skin relating to Xbox, and you basically had to have an Xbox to get those. And I don't have an Xbox, and I'm not buying an Xbox to get 2 Smite skins as much as I love Smite.
Yeah, I tried to do that, and it's all, now go log in on your Xbox One. I'm all, dang.
Yeah. But the thing is,
why not give
I
I
already have Kakademon Emir, I have Nuclear Winter Emir, I have Cyber Emir. Like, I don't need another Emir skin.
Oh, I will buy every Emir skin that I can that comes out. And
well,
that's
I
what
do that with
annoys
Ares
me.
too, right? I mean, I will play SWC 2015 Ares forever, but every time there's an Ares skin that comes out, I gotta buy it.
But I can't get. There's an Emir skin. I didn't realize there was an Emir Xbox skin.
Yeah, there was It looks like the Kakademon skin. It's basically a
I was wondering
Kakademon
where that one
rebuild.
came from.
Yeah, that's an Xbox, and
so
it's
why
gone
did they
for.
make it where you get it on Xbox for free, but you can buy it on PC?
It had to do with that, with the Founders Pack and stuff. It was basically a way of trying to get. I think it was a way of them trying to get PC players to migrate over to build up their player base quicker.
Right.
Was to get that account linkage going on. So.
I don't know. I almost wish they. Yeah. Like, then why offer it for PC?
Honey, you're playing Smite in the back room too much. Come play in the front room.
Like, I wish it wasn't there for me to see and go, I wish I could get that. Because, like you said, it's one thing if I can get it on something else. If I go download their game or go follow them on Twitter or YouTube. But I am not going to buy an Xbox for the skin. Now, will I borrow an Xbox?
Log in.
I went so far as to call up my nephew and ask him to do it, but then he's playing. He's a PS4 gamer now. Apparently, he changed sides without me knowing.
Well, sometimes that happens. But yeah, I mean, it's probably a petty gripe, but that's my gripe.
What about the Bruce Lee? It's not Bruce Lee, but it's
It
Bruce
is.
Lee.
It absolutely is Bruce Lee.
But it's not. He's not Asian.
Calling it that.
He's not even Asian.
Who?
The character's not even Asian.
Who was it for?
Mercury. He's
Mercury.
wearing a yellow jumpsuit and he's doing all these, the kung fu.
Well, my problem is, does Mercury really need another skin right now? Like, I'm like, let's throw some love around. Let's get some skins on some. I don't know. Maybe they're the most played gods. Like,
Well,
that's not. What I don't have privy to that information.
Like, and another one is Neath. I mean, Neath already has 10 skins, so here's another one. But then they did do this really awesome kaiju one for Sobek, and Sobek really only had the pirate one.
And their Neath skin's badass though, and that was created by somebody in the community who they worked with to make happen. So I thought that was kind of cool too.
Well, they're good for that, and I tried to pin somebody down to pitch my Guani Canuck skin idea, but I basically got the brush off, so that's not happening.
Yeah, I don't.
Unless I learn how to draw and put it on Reddit.
I'm not worried about the Bruce Lee not being Asian. I think that's okay.
Have you guys seen the new cinematic trailer? I have not seen it yet. I noticed them playing it during the tournament and stuff, but
I have a bit of a beef with this, and I think it's because you can take the accountant out of the office, but you can't take the office out of the accountant. And I'm watching this thing, and it's a great video. It's beautifully done, but if you don't already play the game, you have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, even as someone who played the game, it took me about halfway through the video for me to figure out what's going on. Is that they just went and got Fire Giant buff, and now they're standing in mid, basically taunting the other team. But like, if you don't know what Fire Giant is, you have no idea why they're having all these flashbacks to lava and flames, and Emir putting up ice walls to try and block the lava. Nor are you really understanding why the one team is just absolutely pwning the other one. Once you figure that out, then okay, yeah, the video makes absolute sense. When you've got Fire Giant buff, you can be like that, and you go in, and they're going to do everything they can to stop you, and it's just going to bounce off. But as a marketing tool, which really it should be if they're investing the time and money that would have gone into making this, it doesn't work for selling the game, and that's my personal opinion.
Are they targeting League of Legends players?
I think it'd be smart to target any of the MOBA players.
Is there
a mobile player would understand that because camps are a big deal in League of Legends.
Like, is there a Fire Giant equivalent in?
Yeah, there's camps. And that's the key to the game. It really is controlling the camps is way more than it is.
The Baron is a big slug dude, unless it's changed. I think he was the big bad guy.
I don't know. I've never even.
But it's more of the meta than it is in Smite per se.
I do also want to say one more complaint about it. Who the hell drafted those teams? Who drafted Emir, Bologna, Loki, and who drafted Thor, Wukong, and Neath? Like,
those were the skins that were easiest to export to Maya.
Well, I think I know why they picked we didn't see in the tournament, right?
I do know why they picked Emir. It's because they could show him being hurt and not have censorship issues. At one point Loki stabs Thor and he pulls his knife out and there's no blood. It looks really stupid. But you do get to see, like, Wukong takes a chip off of Emir and just a big chunk of ice falls off. Well, that's okay. So, okay, fine, use Emir for that. But
okay,
anyway,
so
rant
I
over.
saw them in the chat room. Them talking about Mercury not having any skins, and so I had to load it up real quick because I'm like, I feel like I've seen a lot of skins. Like,
he has
but
running
exclusives. They're all exclusives.
They're all exclusives. Yeah.
Like, why are they doing that? Like, spread it around.
Because Mercury he's one of the older gods, but he gets played a lot.
Well, he's a mid, like old these days. He's not that old.
The spreading around, I have an issue with. And, I mean, look at this year, okay? So they do the digital loot pack. comes with 3 god skins: Agni, Anubis, Zeus. 3 mids, 3 mages. And then we go through the Odyssey, and last year, Odyssey reward was a jungle-only assassin with a dunk. And this year, it's a jungle-only assassin with a dunk. Yay! Like, I own these 2 epic skins that I paid a crap ton of money for on gods I never am going to play. And, I mean, at least mix it up. You know,
well, they
Thor
have to do
and
Agni
Thanatos
for
are so
curse,
similar.
right?
They need a little shelf of little like figurines of your gods that you can like put with your skins on them, like on a little shelf inside Smite.
And then like little clothes that you can dress your dolls up with. Because at this point they're dolls.
Your doll knees,
Dress your Smite dolls up with their clothing. Buy the Swagni pack. It comes with a 40 ounce.
And you click on you click on them and they do their little, you know, they do some sort of
they are selling the little hitpoint.tv. Was that their name?
Yeah.
They are selling they have 3 dolls because they're statues.
Little chibi figures.
But Emir's one of them. He looked really crappy, so I doubt I'll buy him. But I didn't get
some little bobbleheads that sit over in the right hand corner of the screen.
I'm just bitter about merch at the point.
Taken up and frozen or something, and it like wobbles in the corner or gets frozen too.
Oh, now the Bologna statue, I didn't even realize that was for sale. I thought that was like an art piece.
It's for pre-order.
It's for pre-order for
Wait, what?
$250.
It
is
what?
Amazing.
It's like this big.
I'm about to show
it's a PVC figurine. So like imagine like okay, so this is the Sandboxer, right?
On screen right now.
Like this is what Sandboxer does. So this is about 5 inches tall. And it's made out of 3D print like sandstone. This Bologna was
about
big?
3 times the size of an Xbox controller.
And it was made out of that PVC vinyl that very it works very well for building these kind of figurines. I own a few of other types, and like it's absolutely beautiful. So they had it on display and it was available for pre-order. But yeah, it is $250 plus $40 for shipping. So it ain't cheap, and I won't be getting one.
Oh, I didn't actually take a good look at this Amir. I actually think that looks kind of cool. That's the Amir.
I was actually really surprised to not see Sandboxer there pitching these.
Well,
because these are awesome.
Okay.
And
were you saying that they had some issues with them breaking?
I have heard that they are quite fragile.
So I wonder if they just had, and I shouldn't even say that because that's total speculation. But that maybe they had issues with them. Maybe they didn't. Maybe
they're still selling them, I think.
But I don't know why I'm going into merch because if it has a size on it, they don't have it big enough for me.
And they're not sponsoring us. Hey, Sandboxer, send us some figurines. We'll talk about you more.
That's right. We'll talk nice about you. That's what you pay for. I mean, anyway, back to this thing we call Smite. Now that Rayton's done with his pain de viande, his beef, right? Anyway, there's also a Shaolin Fury Mercury, like we talked about, a Harajuku Neath,
basically a sister to Kawaii Bastet,
Jetpack Fighter Nemesis, Tier 2 Isis and Soul, and a Gold Diamond Jingqian. Let's see. The SWC 2016 frame is still awarding fantasy points for wins.
It was as of last night. To be honest, I didn't check when I played before the show, but the season 2 ticket rewards section is still live. Now, what I don't know is if you get to a tier, if you'll still get the reward for it. I'm never going to know because I just barely got to the 10,000 point to get my Dr. Vanas skin. So I would need 5,000 more points to get to the last item, which is going to take me 6 months.
3,000 gems to do. So I assume you can still get the rewards because the gems are still for sale. You can unlock them for 300 gems for 500 points. I need 450 to get the Swagny announcer pack, which do you not get that if you have the skin and the voice pack?
It's the announcer pack, so no.
Oh, gotcha.
This is the voice that says genocide and he, it's a killing spree. Instead, you get it's a 3-way, baby. In that.
So how is it? Do you like it? Is it funny?
It's pretty good. I actually use the Anuki pack. I like the Anuki voice pack better, but that's because I like Anuki's voice and the way he words it. But yeah, the Swagny announcer pack is pretty good.
Man, I don't know. I'm tempted. I only have 496 gems left, though. It's 300 gems to get me the 500 gem or the 500 points to unlock that pack.
Okami in chat is saying it's valid until February 2nd. So if you think you can get 500 fantasy points at 15 points per win in 2 weeks, then you don't need to.
Oh, I'll get that tonight. Hell yeah. We can play some games. Hey, while we're throwing out beefs or viandes or pains or whatever for the game, let's just throw them all into one bucket, because I just remembered something that I meant to ask. I wanted to say, okay, who does the UI for the game? I want to talk to them because I have a beef. Now, I keep Smite up pretty much 24/7. It just sits there, and then I sit in my chair. And
those of us who are your friends know this.
And so every day that you log in, keyword log in to Smite, you get a reward. If you don't log in, you don't get the reward. Not only that, it clears it out so you go back to 0 if you don't.
Yep.
And you can sit there and click on it all day long. So you have to close the whole application and open the whole application just to get your 35 freaking gems, or you're stuck back at 15.
So they want you to play more and be in the game more, but when you are, they actually punish you for it and make you go out and come back.
Yeah, and I think it's simply just something overlooked. I don't think they have any. I don't think anyone in their right mind would be like, we want you to close the game out so that you get the patches, because it tells you, and it closes you out automatically if there's a patch.
But think about this. If I wanted to, I could just open up a Smite with a new character and just let it sit there and collect and collect and collect and collect.
And then
but
sell
you
it.
Still have to come in every day and click that button.
That would be an easy script to write. So that's probably why.
A script that closes.
But then again,
I could do that too. I could
close the application, open it, and click the button.
If you're at the point where you're writing scripts, yeah, you could write a script to go in and open and close and log out and log in with the next Smurf and do it for 50 Smurfs, right? So,
I mean, if they were super worried about it, they just say play 1 game a day. Win, loss, you get that reward.
Yeah, that kind of actually makes more sense.
Well, but that's going away anyways, and they announced that at the tournament that that daily login is going away, and they're changing it to this quest thing where every day you can do 1 quest out of this big list of quests.
Oh, that's cool.
So
I guess I should listen more.
Problem solved, I guess.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are complaining about that, though, because it is taking away from that completely passive way of where you don't have to do anything. You just have to log in to get your gems. But
and possibly log out.
Yeah.
And then log in again.
Well, and the other issue I have with it is I have this beef with some of the achievements in the game, too, is it's going to encourage some bad play. And what I mean by that is, like, there is going to be a daily quest for play 3 matches as an assassin. Nobody wants me to play an assassin. Nobody. Except the other team. The other team loves it when I play an assassin. So, why would you incentivize me to do something that I'm very bad at?
Well, hopefully how many quests a day are you going to get to choose from? That's going to be the key.
There's going to be a list, supposedly. And I think they're calling it a daily quest, so it probably means you can do 1 a day to earn something. But
right. But it's that choice that matters, right? If there's always a choice that you'll be okay with.
Like Akami says that Heroes of the Storm does it that way, the exact same kind of quest. And there you go.
Well, Hearthstone does it too, and they give you a choice between 3 different quests that you can do.
Right,
and you
right.
can actually, I think you can do all 3 in Hearthstone. But
my concern though is depending on how they manage the list. Like maybe eventually gets down to you only have those as your options because you've done everything else, and it doesn't reset until
you don't think it resets?
I don't know. I mean, they didn't really go into a lot of detail, but if that's the case, then sooner or later you're going to have people doing stupid things just to get their in-game bonus. And like I said, some of the achievements do this too. I mean, there's an achievement for get 4,000 health in a match. So what did I do? Yeah. I played Emir and I did nothing but buy health items. And okay, it's not the worst build, but the best one is there's one for damage everybody on the other team without taking any damage yourself.
Right,
you know how you get that achievement? You take Nuwa in arena, and you sit in base and you ult. And you do it 3 or 4 times just in case they have Aegis or some sort of immunity thing. And then you go out and do the game. Because if you take 1 hit, you lose the achievement. So the only way to get the achievement is to do that. And that's what I did. I did a match where I took Nuwa and sat in base for the first 10 minutes.
You're just to
jerk. I actually have that
He's a self-admitted jerk. I've got to say, I have not.
Game incentivizes it, though. I got a little stamp in the game for doing that.
I got that and I didn't even try.
See, and that's
I was like, oh, I did?
I have not actively tried to get any achievement. Except for a pentakill, just because I don't have achievement for it yet.
I did it first. Now that they're doing all these character-specific ones, I've given up on it. But I did it first. I was actually trying to get these achievements.
Hey, does your Nuki pack announce pentakills?
Yep. I'm not sure I'm not sure. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that because, I mean, that's the thing. At the level that we're playing now, you don't see pentakills all that often. So
I've gotten 2, and on both of those, they weren't announced, and I thought I didn't get them.
I'm trying to think. I do play on co-op sometimes when I'm just not in the mood to play humans, and I'll just go slaughter bots in the arena. I'm sure I've seen pentakills there, but then again, I'm not really paying a lot of attention to it at that point because the pentakills are meaningless because they're against bots.
I had a player. He was going to run back to base, but I was in front. He just stopped and let me. He was a really cool dude. He full on gave me the pentakill, and he even said, I said thanks, man. That was nice. I wish I remembered his screen name because he was really cool. But it didn't. I thought I didn't get it at first because it did announce it. The little thing didn't pop up or nothing, and then at the end of the game, I saw it's on there, and I'm like, well, why didn't it even? It said quadra kill. Said all that stuff.
I think so.
And there wasn't other sounds. It wasn't about that there were other sounds playing at the same time, and there's too many sounds going on or anything. Like nothing else was happening. Like all the other players were almost like they were dead and coming back, So I don't know.
You really make me want to play the game. Are we done with this show yet?
I think we
were done with this show half an hour ago. We just kept talking like we always do.
Okay, so we got a bunch of announced stuff.
Maybe let's save that for next week.
We'll tempt you this week. Next week we're going to tell you about a Joust map rework, some 3v3 League, some Conquest map changes, some new skins, Season 3 miscellaneous stuff, and maybe you'll find a thing or two in Mercury's mail sack. And before we do anything, we do have a call-in question from JBJ Blaze, which I don't think y'all are going to be able to hear now that I think about it. But I'll repeat it for you. So here we go. Howdy, JBJ Blaze online here. I hear you got a question for us tonight for On Smite. What is it?
Well, hello there, On Smitesters, and my question for tonight, this is JBJ Blaze, by the way, and I was wondering how you celebrated the New Year with the Odyssey, and if any of you actually went for the tier 5 Thor skin that comes in the very end, and what your whole thoughts of that whole thing was. Also, what your thoughts on the Smite World Championships were. Thanks for the great show, and bye-bye!
Awesome. That was JBJ Blaze. You've heard him. Now you see him in full flesh. Such a good guy. And basically he was asking about the Odyssey, how we, in essence, like the Odyssey and the reward. Did any of us go out for the reward? And then about SWC, which we already talked about. So Thor, I got it. I love it.
The thing I like about the Odyssey is, yeah, it's kind of cheesy that if you want this really big skin, you got to pay a lot, but you get so much stuff discounted in it. And what I mean by that is, you are buying, if you go the whole way, at every stage you're buying an item, generally normally priced, so $400 for a skin, $200 for or 200 gems for a like an icon or a ward skin or something. But then you're getting a chest with every time you do that. And some of the stuff in the chest is really good. And what I find now is, because I've done both Odysseys, anytime a new chest pops up with a new exclusive skin that you can only get through the chest, and there's like 10 different items in that chest, I have 9 of the items already. So I'm guaranteed to get that new thing. And that really came up because of when I did the Odyssey the first time, and I got so much of this extra stuff that it just got to that point where now I'm on top of the wave, and it's just a matter of maintaining.
Yeah.
And yes, it helps that Gabe is very generous to us. But yeah, if you're gonna play the game and you want a lot of this stuff, and you're not entirely concerned about getting exactly specific stuff, you just want lots of stuff, then the Odyssey is actually a good way to get a lot of different things for what you're spending. I mean, it was 5,600 gems, I think, for this year's Odyssey, and you got probably 12,000 gems worth of stuff out of it. Yeah. So,
yeah, and what I said.
I'm
earlier,
not into the Odysseys myself, but I know Raging Collector, right? He likes all the stuff. I'm more like, if there's one thing in there that I want, then I will do it. But I'm not really interested in most of the other stuff typically.
And it's kind of what I said earlier about the final skin being worth it. I didn't really think about like the Thor skin is actually a lot more than just a skin. It is a really, really cool skin. It is probably one of the coolest skins in the game. But you also got a new sound.
Which confused the hell out of me at first. I didn't know that was there, and I couldn't understand why I kept hearing it.
Well, this is why I forgot about it, because I turned music off a long time ago because of recording and streaming, just to make sure, because sometimes you run into issues with the music from games, not the games themselves. And plus sometimes it's a deterrent, and so I just turned the music off and just keep the sounds. So I never heard the new sound pack. I still haven't heard it. So I've got to turn that out. But you also got a one-of-a-kind card, because it's the only card that comes in layers too. It actually changes throughout the phases, and that was one of the things they talked about that they wanted to do. So, and like you said, you get a crap ton of stuff with it. It's almost like the yearly expansion, like the collector's edition. Right.
Yeah.
So I think keeping that in mind, it's really not that expensive, and it's worth it. So with that, and with the question, did we answer it?
I think so. I didn't hear. We couldn't hear it. I'll have to watch it later. But
yeah. Okay. So yeah. Thanks for the question, and you continue to call them in at speakpipe.com/ On Smite Podcast. Go to onsmitepodcast.com. Apparently, I forgot to upload the last episode to YouTube, so I'll be uploading this one and that one, plus the podcast. So, yay, we're back, and we'll see you next week.